Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're diving deep into a fascinating Enneagram pairing. Type 3s, the achievers, and Type 9s are peacemakers.
Definitely an interesting mix. On the surface, they seem like total opposites.
Right. We'll be looking at an article from Personality NFT to guide us through this. So, how could these two possibly, work together?
Well, that's the thing, is that very contrast, that kind of draws people to this pairing.
Makes sense. So let's start with the basics. Type 3s, they're super ambitious, driven, all about crushing goals.
Yeah, yeah. And type nines, on the other hand, are all about like inner peace and harmony. They're the chill mediators.
Okay, so different approaches for sure. But how does that play out in a relationship? Like imagine planning a weekend trip.
Oh, I can see it now. The type three has already booked like the hottest restaurants, made a whole itinerary.
Yeah, and the Type 9 is probably thinking,
Probably feeling a bit of anxiety, like their ideal weekend is, a good book and some peace and quiet.
clash of styles right away.
Potentially. But here's where it gets interesting. If they both, understand each other, it can be a growth opportunity.
Okay, how so?
Well, the type 3 could, add in some chill time, maybe a spa day or some unstructured time.
So they're using that drive to make it work for both of them.
Exactly. And the type 9 can kind of step out of their comfort zone a little, try new things, embrace the excitement.
Finding that balance where everyone's happy.
Exactly. It's not just about the weekend trip. It's about like everyday life too.
That makes sense. Now, what about communication? Type 3s are direct, Type 9s avoid conflict. Doesn't that cause issues?
Oh, yeah, definitely potential for miscommunication. Imagine like a type 3's frustrated about chores.
Yeah, they might blurt out something like, why isn't this done?
Right. And the type 9 might just shut down, internalize it.
Oh, that's not smart.
Yeah. So the type 3 could, phrase things more gently, like, hey, when you get a chance.
And the Type 9?
They need to speak up more, even if it's hard. Say, I feel overwhelmed when you say it like that.
So both sides got to adjust.
Exactly. Create a space where they can, be themselves without judgment.
Okay, that makes sense. But can they even be friends with such different approaches?
Oh, absolutely. They can be amazing friends. The type 3 can really inspire the type 9 to, go for things.
Like a personal cheerleader?
Yes. And the type 9 provides that, non-judgmental space for the type 3 to just, unwind.
Balance again, huh? Providing what the other needs.
Exactly. And this works in teams, too. The type 3 leads, the type 9 keeps things harmonious.
Powerful combo.
Yeah.
Now, we got to talk about romance, right? Everyone wants to know about that.
Of course, of course. And it might seem surprising, but this pairing can be really passionate and fulfilling romantically.
Really? What makes it work?
That balance again. The type 3 brings excitement, adventure, keeps things fresh.
And the Type 9?
They bring that stability, that peace, unconditional love,
A classic yin and yang?
Exactly. They complement each other so well. But let's be real. Every couple has challenges, right?
Definitely. What could be some stumbling blocks for this pair?
Well, one big one is conflict, right? Type 3s confront, Type 9s avoid.
Classic fight or flight.
Yeah. Say the Type 3 feels neglected and calls it out. The Type 9 might just shut down.
So the issue never gets solved.
Right. So the Type 3 needs to approach it gently, and the Type 9 has to speak up, even if it's tough.
So both sides working on their communication, but with empathy.
Yes, exactly. It's about creating that space where they can both be honest without fear,
It's a journey for sure.
It is. And when they get it right, it's really something special. Yeah, it takes work, like learning a new dance or something. But when it clicks, it's amazing.
I like that, the dance analogy. Now let's talk about personal growth. How do these two support each other there?
Well, think about it. The Type 3, so focused on achieving, can really push the Type 9 out of their comfort zone.
Like help them reach their full potential.
Exactly. And the Type 9, so accepting, they can teach the Type 3 to slow down a bit, enjoy the moment.
So it's not all about achieving for the Type 3?
Right. They learn there's more to life. And that's where the Type 9 excels. They create that safe space.
So they both grow, become better versions of themselves.
Yeah, it's a pretty powerful exchange. Makes me wonder about how they handle, big changes. Type 3s love routine. Type 9s are more go with the flow.
Yeah, totally different approaches. How does that work?
Well, the article mentions that in times of change, Type 3s get busy, planning, making lists, taking action.
Trying to control the situation?
Exactly. Type 9s, though, they kind of retreat at first, trying to maintain that inner peace.
Interesting. So opposite reactions, but can it work?
It can. Think about moving to a new city. The Type 3 is all over the logistics, while the Type 9 might be freaking out a bit.
But then they can step in and be like, hey, let's breathe, take a break.
Exactly. They bring that calmness, that emotional support. And the type 3, well, they keep things moving forward.
Balance strikes again.
Eh.
Now, what about their intellectual connection? We talked about learning, but what's it look like in a conversation?
Picture this. They're discussing like a book or something. The type 3 is full of ideas, wants to debate.
And the type 9?
They take a step back, ponder things more deeply, see all the angles.
So they bring different perspectives to the table.
Yeah, they might not always agree, but it makes for really interesting conversations. Makes you think.
I can imagine. Okay, we've talked about the good stuff, but what about potential issues?
Yeah.
Where could things go wrong?
Well, conflict resolution is a big one, right?
Right.
We've touched on it. Type 3s are direct, type 9s avoid.
A fight or flight thing again?
Yeah. It can cause a lot of frustration. The type 3 feels ignored. The type 9 feels attacked.
So what's the solution?
Communication, but with empathy. The type 3 needs to understand that avoidance is the type 9's coping mechanism.
And the type 9 needs to learn to speak up, right?
Yeah.
Even if it's uncomfortable.
Exactly. It's about finding that middle ground, a way to communicate that works for both.
That makes sense. Now, switching gears a bit, what about that romantic spark? What creates it for this pairing?
Well, there's that balance again, right? The type 3's energy is attractive to the type 9, who admires their drive.
And the type 9's peacefulness is like a haven for the type 3.
Yeah, they crave that stability. Plus, there's often a lot of admiration between them.
Like they see something special in each other.
Exactly. And that, combined with their different energies, can create some serious chemistry.
Okay, that's interesting. So how does that translate into like a real relationship?
Well, in a healthy relationship, you see a lot of support and understanding. The type 3 encourages the type 9's dreams.
And the type 9 helps the type 3 relax, be themselves.
Yeah, they both feel valued and they're open with each other, share their feelings, work through things together.
Sounds like a solid foundation.
Right.
But what are some red flags to watch out for?
One is imbalance. If the type 3's ambitions always come first, or the type 9's need for peace holds the type 3 back.
It needs to be equal. Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And communication breakdowns are another big one. If they can't find a way to talk things through.
So basically, those are the two key things to watch for.
Yeah, balance and communication. If they can master those, they've got a good shot.
This has been so insightful. We've learned so much about type 3s and type 9s.
Yeah, it's a fascinating dynamic. And we've just scratched the surface, really.
I know, right? There's always more to explore. And speaking of exploring, anyone listening who wants to dive deeper.
Personality NFT has some amazing resources. Their AI apps, the tests, the hub, it's all there.
It's like a roadmap to understanding yourself and your relationships better.
Exactly. So if you're ready to learn more, head over to personalitynft.com.
You won't regret it. And remember, this journey of understanding, it's ongoing. Every step counts.
It does. And it's worth it to build stronger, more fulfilling connections.
Couldn't agree more. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep connecting.